Hello and welcome to Prep Alpine, the next generation UPSC institution. We are continuing with our high yield UPSC series where we discuss some of the most important topics that have the maximum probability of being asked in your UPSC prelims, mains, and interview examination. Along with this, we also provide exam oriented current affairs in PDF form, the link to which is available in the description below. Go check out now. So, today's video, we'll talk about a very important topic from GS Paper 1, the Society section, that is about tribal rights or the Adivasis. Because we all know that tribals have been one of the favorite areas of UPSC to ask questions, whether it is in prelims or mains, or even in interviews, you can be given a scenario, a context, or a situation to deal with such cases. So, this case is about the Adivasis or the tribals in the Hasdev Arand forest. So, where is the Hasdev Arand forest? This forest is situated in Chhattisgarh, and believe me, it is one of India's most diverse and culturally rich landscapes. Beautiful trees, so much flora and fauna, and most importantly, the Adivasi communities whose identity is inseparable from these forests. They have been living in the forest since ages and depend entirely on the forest produce. And this is not just about these Adivasis, but entire Adivasi community in India who live in the forest. They all depend on the forest produce. And to recognize this, the Forest Rights Act of 2006 was enacted. Since the tribals were met with injustice historically, so to correct that injustice, the Forest Rights Act of 2006 was enacted. But in the recent times, we have seen that due to development practices like mining, extraction, construction, infrastructure development, these forest rights have been diluted. And the same happened in Hasdev Aran. So let us now understand what is the community forest rights and why is it important. So the Community Forest Rights Act talks of rights over access, use and livelihood. That is the collection of minor forest produce and sustainable access to forest resources. All these things lies with the tribal communities. They have the right to protect and manage the forest, and this is done on behalf of the tribals by the Gram Sabhas, and also they have a decision making power over the forest diversion. That is, if you want to divert the forest land for some other purpose other than tribal development, then you have to take permission of the Gram Sabha. And this is what was diluted in this particular case. So in 2012, the Hasdev Arand forest received clearance for mining. So the Gram Sabha did not approve this. Even before the approval of the Gram Sabha, the complete approval was given. NGT intervened, but mining continued. Still, in 2013, the community forest rights were again recognized in the Ghatwara village. It is a particular village in this Hasdev Arand area. The community forest rights were again recognized, but still the mining continued. Again, the Gram Sabhas opposed it, and finally they approached the court. And guess what happened? The court says that since the mining has already been started, since the rights have already been diluted, or since the land has already been diverted, so now nothing can be done. And over all this, the court also suggested monetary compensation. Now, the question here is that can monetary compensation dilute or reverse the irreversible damage that has been done to these forests and the rights of these communities? Because this whole scenario is a direct violation of the Forest Rights Act, and these rights are not just optional but mandatory conditions. This is a question about not just the forest rights, but even our fundamental rights. That if such a scenario exists about fundamental rights, then can the court suggest the same thing, that since the rights have already been diluted, so take monetary compensation and the whole problem can be solved? This signals towards a breakdown of the administrative due process and also imposes a challenge on the rights of the tribal communities. This is not just about Hasdev Arand, but a larger scenario about the rights of the tribals. And this is not new to Hasdev Arand. This has happened in North India. We have seen that this has happened in the Aravalis. We have seen that this has happened in several communities of Himalayas. We have seen that this is going to happen in several communities. Example, the Champagne and the Nicobaris of the Galathea Bay in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So this signals towards the weak enforcement and implementation of the FRA and administrative manipulation. Apart from this, it also erodes the trust in judiciary, because we often see that whenever our trust in the government is diluted, we approach the judiciary. But if the judiciary also starts giving development first reasoning, then ecological balance and community rights will be diluted. This has implications for the Adivasis on the forest government as well as on environmental justice, because it dilutes environment for development. It again brings us to a question, that can environment and development be maintained at a sustainable place? Can sustainable development, the question of 21st century, that can sustainable development be done just by doing activities for climate change, or do we need to preserve our natural biodiversity? So the way forward here lies in enforcing FRA, or the Forest Right Act, with integrity, making sure that no tribal rights or no Adivasi rights are compromised. We must ensure that the Gram Sabha autonomy is preserved and protected, and whatever they have been promised, those resources be delivered to them. We must ensure that in case of any diversion, there is a transparent and accountable system for that. We must ensure that this complete logic, that just because the government has already started the process of development, so your rights did not exist in the first place, such arguments cannot be given in the future. That is, we must reject the logic of fait accompli, that since it has happened, so now deal with it. We must declare no-go zones for mining, especially in areas that are ecologically very sensitive. Example, the Aravalis. In the recent times, we have seen protests for the savior of Aravalis. For example, the areas of Himalayas, we must declare no-go zones over there. And lastly, we must center Adivasi stewards in conservation, because we all know that for Adivasis, these forests are not just a piece of land, but they consider them as their gods. And diluting them or disturbing their very existence signals us to a process where we are ignoring the rights of a very important communities who have been an integral part of India since time immemorials. And our constitution talks of respecting the rights and the dignity of each and every citizen of our country, each and every individual, and tribals are an important part of it. So that's it for this video. If you want more such content, please subscribe to the channel and keep watching Prep Alpine. Thank you.